Here we go. Hello and welcome to Bucs Report's unofficial pre-game show. Your Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Indianapolis Colts. Just about to kick off in just over an hour and 30 minutes time. I'm back with my old co-host, Teresa Baxter, who's back looking smiling, looking like a darling. How are you? And are you excited? I think they've muted you.
Okay, I got it.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
I'm good. Everything's good. I caught the show a few times, and it was a good show. You guys had a lot of good, interesting information going back and forth.
I'm glad we kept you entertained. If anything, we kept you entertained, and that puts a smile on your face. That makes me happy.
Yeah, seeing the dude on that was all I needed. You don't get on shows very often.
So we'll start with the simple, obvious. Brady's back. He's back again. No one's really surprised. It did come. I think we're all kind of excited just to see how the offense really looks, because we haven't really had a true, honest look at what this offense looks like. We've seen Kyle Trask. We've seen Blaine Gabbert. Now we get to see the head honcho, the man of the hour. We get to see what he can do. And from what we hear, it's going to be 3 drives or 3 series, however you want to call it. And we're going to see the rest of the starters, potentially 1 or 2 not in there. What's your take on what you want to see from Tom Brady?
I just want to see that he's on his marks. I don't, unlike the rest of the football league, I could care less if he took a vacation, because at his age, and as long as he's been doing this, he should already know what to do.
Absolutely.
So I'm not concerned with that, because I am getting the wide receivers and him in sync. I think Brady can throw it all day long, but can these guys catch it?
Big question, and it was a question that haunted us in the season later on when we did have a lot of absentees, and we lost Chris Godwin to the horrific injury that he sustained against the Saints, and Mike Evans was a bit gingerly walking around and wasn't his full self, and then we ended up with the drama of Antonio Brown, and then all of a sudden we ended up with what people would commonly call as guys who are scrubs or free agents, guys who wouldn't normally be like the top half of your roster playing in games, and some of them making names for themselves. And that's why this wide receiver battle is what it is. For me, what I want to see is just a couple of crisp drives, just to know that he's still got it.
Yeah.
I'd like to see the connection between him and Julio Jones. I'm not too worried about anyone else. Julio Jones and Russell Gage, but I believe Russell Gage is injured. He is questionable. We'll go through the injury report in a minute.
Okay.
I would like to see that, but I don't think we will. If we do, great.
Earlier in the summer, though, didn't they get to practice together?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was more thinking from my eyes what I would like to see.
Yeah, I want to see him sign a contract for 2 more years, and I'll be happy.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we all would. It just gives us 2 more years of being relevant.
It's such a mindset difference.
Mm-hmm.
They're no longer thinking themselves as the Suggs or anything like that. So I admire that above everything else, that he's been able to change that mindset in that locker room.
And it's a big one, because that's the difference, really. I mean, technically, the Buccaneers haven't had their leader for 2 straight weeks.
Right.
And, I wouldn't say we're amazing in preseason. Defenses look decent enough that we can hold out teams. The offense is lacking, which is kind of what we expect. And I think that's why we all want to see a little bit of Tom Brady, because it kind of puts our nerves at ease and we know that everything's okay. We know deep down it's okay, but when you see it on film and you're like, yeah, okay, I'm done. That's all I need to see. It could be a quick one drive touchdown and Tom Brady's out of there, and they don't want to risk him.
True. I mean, like I said, he's been in the league long enough. He knows what to do. He knows how to get prepared. I'm not worried about him per se, just the connections that he needs to make.
Absolutely. And if anything, later on down the line, we'll get to watch him on Masked Singer.
I do not for 1 second believe that he was on the Masked Singer.
I mean, it could be a million different things, and I don't think we'll truly find out, and I don't think it's really relevant to us as people in his life. If it is, it's something that he can't wrangle out of. It was probably a contract that he signed, and if it was a vacation, something he can't get out of. It was obviously something that he had planned, and that's all that mattered. He came back after 11 days. I believe the 11 days was what they said he was going to come back after, and I think it just kind of gave the NFL press and just general press, to be honest. It was in covers of magazines that they were having relationship troubles and all sorts of crazy stuff because people want to find.
They've gotten divorced.
Well, the thing is, if you touch on a story and you happen to get it right, you look like you were the number one news source, and that's the thing. So if you report that there's Tom Brady troubles, if you're wrong, everyone forgets because it was so long ago. But if you're right, you can go, look at my article. See what we posted. See what we put out there. We were right. We're in the know. And everyone's, this media source is credible. It's legitimate. Right. But really, all they're doing is throwing their fish, bait in their hook and throwing it in and hoping something bites. Because they don't know what's in there. Put the wrong bait. Who knows? Yeah. So let's talk about, we're going down in the depth charts.
That's what I'm interested in.
You're interested in the depth charts. Me too, because I had a little look and cooked up a couple of things, and I believe there you go. There's the that's the defense. Sorry, I do apologize.
Yeah, see that.
So we've got the depth charts.
Well, we
got Mike Evans, Julio Jones, Rashad Perriman, who is considered questionable with a leg injury. We also have, I'm trying to remember, Geiger, Kenlon Geiger. Then we go into Chris Godwin, Tyler Johnson, who's had, from a preseason point of view, if you just watch the preseason, he's looked probably the best wide receiver from out of what's been in there. And he should, because he's the next man up that isn't injured. You would expect him to shine.
Okay,
and then we go into
showing Scotty Miller still. That's good.
Yep, he's still there. He's not gone yet. We'll get a good look of Luke Gaduke, who I think this is a real big opportunity for him. And not only that, this is a shakedown cruise, so to speak, to see if he can really belong in the NFL right this second, if he's ready for week one. That's my opinion on him. Other than that, it looks like the same old thing that we've always seen. There's a lot of names there in the tight end room that I think that will be trimmed down pretty quick. They're not going to carry too many tight ends. And then we've got Rachaad White, who's had a decent camp except for the fumble. Keyshawn Vaughn looked okay here and there. We haven't really seen much of Giovanni Bernard, who's also listed out questionable.
Yeah, and then, he get hurt?
Yes, I've got him down as he didn't practice Thursday and he's out with an ankle injury.
Okay.
We go into the defense. The defense, they seem to have kept a lot more names. It seems like the defense has kept our bowls up, because that looks a lot thicker than that.
It does.
I think that they're taking their time on these guys. Obviously, we signed Carl Nassib, and I think with one of our outside linebackers going down in Cam Gill, that seems like a super smart signing. And considering we signed him before, it was almost like a shape of things to come almost. But it was great to have him back, because he did do some great things for us when he was here in Tampa before.
Oh yeah.
Looking at the depth chart here, I don't really see any massive changes. It's about who's going to stay here, and I think it's going to be guys who can produce the most in special teams. And then we go into the special teams with basically Jake Camarada and the big kicking battle, which we'll talk about in a moment. But that's pretty much the depth charts that we got at the moment.
Okay. Looks pretty good. I mean, some of these guys I haven't seen, so I've seen
a fair few of them, but some of them don't really pop up a lot, because obviously you don't know who's on every single snap, because unless you don't know their name and their number and the position they play, sometimes you don't see them.
Right. So I wonder, when do they have to have the final cut down by? Tuesday?
I think it's Tuesday. I think they might get a great few days. because obviously the season doesn't start next week; it starts the week after.
Weekend after, yeah.
So they might have maybe up to the Friday. I'm not entirely sure. Give them some time. No, they got a fair few players to go on pre-squad. So Cyril Grayson was cut.
I saw that.
That was a bit of a shock. It's more down to his injury, I believe. He's been carrying injury and he's not doing too great. I haven't seen much of him. Him and Brashard Perriman have been the guys who've not been there at preseason from a game point of view and missed a lot of practice. These are guys that Tom Brady trusts, but at the same time, like this wide receiver battle is at the moment just absolutely insane.
Yeah, but
we'll talk about the wide receiver wipeout because,
but if they're not there, he can't throw to them.
No, exactly. And best ability is availability. So it is a case of these two new guys who have come in, Jarrett Stearns and Tompkins, who've carved out roles. I think Tompkins will stay because of how high he is on the depth chart for returning. Jalen Darden's is written down as the Buccaneers' #1 return guy. I think they just want to look at other people. They know who their return. I think they've cemented who they want as their return guy. They just want to look at other options just in case.
Okay.
So we'll just go through the Bucs report, injury report. So here we go. Gio Bernard is out with an ankle. Is questionable with an ankle injury. He did not practice Thursday. Russell Gage also didn't practice Thursday. The wide receiver with a leg injury, he's also questionable. Tristan Wirfs, who I see no reason to turn up into this game. I think whoever starts his position is going to be the person who makes the 53. He is questionable with an oblique. Brashard Perriman is down with a leg. Biggest problem with Brashard Perriman is he doesn't play. He plays 0 special teams, so that's where the value falls off with him. With a Scotty Miller, you do get the because he plays gunner, and he caused that fumble not so long ago where he got really involved, and that speed that he has, you can feel him before he arrives. So if that guy licks you, you're going to feel it. With someone like Brashard Perriman, you're not going to get that so much. Obviously, we know about Chris Godwin. He's questionable with his knee injury. I see the Buccaneers going to take no risks, and I think they'll just sit him. There's no reason for him to play. Mike Evans is down as ready to rock and roll, so I think he will be there. How much of a role he'll have, considering he has tweaked a hamstring, I don't know. Zion McCullum's also tweaked a hamstring, and Keanu Neal, the safety, is questionable with an undisclosed injury at this point, so we don't see those guys. That's who we're missing, which isn't, to be honest, isn't really. I'm not worried about missing Tristan Wirfs because we know they're going to be there. I'm not worried about missing Russell Gage. I'd like to see him. I think that's the only thing for me. I just want to see him. I want to see him in that Bucs uniform.
I think we will have plenty of opportunity to see him this year.
Oh, for sure. I think it's just me just want to see that connection. See what he can do. See it early. But at the end of the day, it also helps the Buccaneers because if other people can't see it, they can't game plan for it.
Right.
So that kind of helps. So yeah, that's pretty much where we are with the injury report. Okay. What's your feelings on what you want to see out of preseason other than Brady?
Well, I just would like to see the starters at least the first few series and get them out of there. And let all of the future fry cooks battle it out for the spots that are left.
And for you, which is the position battle are you most interested in looking at? I think most people go with the wide receiver position because it is the most tastiest.
Yeah. That wide receiver is interesting. But I also think, too, that tight end is interesting. How many they're going to keep and who they're going to be. I figured Cam Drake's lock in.
I think they'll keep 4. I can't unless because is it Kokeft? I'm not sure the pronunciation of the name. But the one that's really good at blocking, who's going to be more like a H-back or a lead blocker or something like that, I see him staying there. Cade Otton will be, I think, third choice. I don't think he'll climb much higher. He could climb during the season, I think. And this is why I was never super excited that everyone kind of thought that, oh, well, Gronk's not coming back, but we drafted 2 tight ends. It's like we drafted a tight end in the 4th round and in the 6th round. There's a big difference. We may have stole Cade Otton, but probably the fact that he should have been maybe a 3rd round pick. And 3rd round picks even don't turn into a heck of a lot.
Right.
But they took him for their blocking prowess, and that's always a good thing. Kyle Rudolph has been shown to be I think the best way of describing a jack of all trades. He can block, he can catch the ball. We know what we get with Cameron Brate. Cameron Brate is a better receiver than he is a blocker. He's always been clutch in the red zone. He's had seasons where he's had 600 yards, so I have no worries too much about him. I do like the extra signing because with Kyle Rudolph, you get a leader. And I don't know if a lot of people know that he was a 4-time captain when he was in Minnesota, and I believe he was a nominee for Man of the Year. So he is an absolute leader in a locker room.
That's cool. I'd also like running backs. What do you think's going on there?
Running backs, I think this is where it gets a little bit. The two positions are guaranteed.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely guaranteed. Rashad White and Leonard Fournette are guaranteed their spots. With rumors circulating, and I don't know this, I'm not just going with rumors. Potentially, a certain old running back might be cut from the Kansas City Chiefs. And with his knowledge of the Buccaneers system, I wouldn't be surprised if they added him to the roster if they could get him on the cheap. Rojo, Ronald Jones.
Oh.
Ronald Jones is having apparently a terrible camp, and he's not looking that great. He's expected to be cut.
Okay. But why do we want him back?
He was never a bad running back for us. He just wasn't great. If you can get him on the cheap, you get him on a minimum deal. I think he's going to do more. Would you say he's better than Keyshawn Vaughn?
See, I haven't watched Vaughn play a lot, but
the last I saw him, Keyshawn Vaughn is not as good as Ronald Jones, but he might be more technically robust, so he can probably do more things than. Okay. It depends on what you want out of them, I guess.
Yeah.
The thing with Rojo is he's very explosive and very fast, but he wasn't very patient, and he's not very good at catching the ball, and he cannot pick up a block. When Tom Brady got sacked, it was because I was going to say Rashad White. I do apologize, Rashad White. That's an apology to you and your family. You haven't done anything wrong yet. Ronald Jones would fail to pick up blocks that, say, a Leonard Fournette would probably pick up. So we got our first comment of the day, or the night, so to speak.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and pronounce this right. Zangief Production Zangief 1. Okay, that's a name and a half. Hello all, happy Saturday. Yeah, it is. It's game day. It's game day here, and we are looking forward to it. We are probably about just over an hour away to game day. Other than that, we've got Gio Bernard, who can return punts. Keyshawn Vaughn has returned points in the past. Hasn't done so much in the preseason. And then we lost Kenyon Barner. I can't remember the guy that we picked up from the Miami Dolphins. We picked him up, but I don't see him sticking on the roster too much. There's a reason he's as low as he is. Maybe they just saw something in him on special teams and hopefully contribute that way. Then you've got the cornerbacks battle. That's interesting because we recently got rid of Ross Cockrell. I know that, and who's a very versatile player.
Yeah.
Rick Hughes absolutely thinks Keyshawn Vaughn is a better overall back. I don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're wrong at all. I think what Rojo's good at, his one thing that he's good at, is probably better than Keyshawn Vaughn. Keyshawn Vaughn probably has a more robust skill set.
Yeah. Okay. And hey, Rick.
Watching us and waiting for the Florida State game to come on. Loving the commentary. Good stuff. Thank you very much. You keep on watching. We'll try and produce as much as we can. And when you get to watch your Florida State, if you need to turn us off, but like, comment, and subscribe, we appreciate it.
Yep.
And if you have liked and you have commented and you have subscribed, unsubscribe and resubscribe. And unlike and re-like. Why not?
Why not? Do it over and over until we get it right.
Exactly. And we will get it right. And your comments mean the world to us. So if you can comment, we do appreciate it. We appreciate you, and we always try and get your comments on as much as we can.
Yep.
But yeah, you've got the cornerbacks battles kind of heating up. I think Zion McCullum's, a lot of people really like the look of him, and he does look pretty solid. And I think we're set with 3 already, so with 4, it's who takes that 5th spot.
Right.
Whoever takes that 5th spot. And then we've got the kicking battle. Because that's a battle that
that's interesting.
The battle of the boot. Who's got the boot to boot us to glory? That's the one. Is it going to be Jose Borgalles, or is it going to be Ryan Suckup? And I think the cheaper option is Jose Borgalles.
Oh, yeah.
I think Borgalles would not sit on a practice squad. I think he'd be taken immediately. He wouldn't make it past waivers.
Right.
So the Buccaneers are in a decision now where they have to think, what are they going to do? You save the money. The thing with Suckup is he has been reliable from short range, but you do not have that big boot, which can be handy in those big games, especially playoff games where every single point counts. And if he's winning the battle from afar, so the longer kicks, and he's even with him in the short kicks, then it's a no-brainer. Obviously, we're not at Bucs camp, and we're not sat there tallying up who's missing what and what's
right.
And that. But it is a battle in itself. I mean, I do think they'll probably go Jose Borgalles because they want to save money. And that's nothing against Ryan Suckup. He is, he's a Super Bowl champion.
Yeah, Ryan Suckup is, but he tends to miss the simplest things.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's probably been the most consistent Bucs kicker for a long time, so I'll give him that.
Yeah.
But we are looking to get past that. I'd say he's not average because he's better than average, but we're looking to get to a point where we have a superstar kicker, because that's what you need. I'm not saying you need to have the man, the myth, the legend, but you need someone who's going to get you into those 50-yarders, those 55-yarders, potentially start working into that 58-yard kicks that put you in the game, keep you in the game if things are getting a bit tight, or you're playing against a team that's building momentum.
Yeah.
And you can keep chipping away at the scoreboard, or let's say for the sake of argument, you're 7-zip, and you can kick that field goal. That's 7-3. So now you're not stressed. It's workable, and you can keep chipping at leads rather than panicking going on 4th or punting away because you don't want to lose the field position.
Be interesting if after they pull Tom, then they start, whoever's going to be out there, probably Blaine, they're going to get us close enough to kick. Let's see what these guys have.
I mean, I think did they do a joint practices with the Colts? Because I haven't heard much about them having joint practices with Colts. No, I didn't think so. Mm-hmm. I haven't heard anything. But I think the joint practices is probably where they get the most out of it, because they can put their field goal kickers up against their firsts, their seconds, etc., from different ranges. So I think, and that's going against a completely different defense.
Mm-hmm.
That's or different special teams unit. Sorry. So that makes it a little bit different.
Yeah. Wonder if our defense is going to go after Matt Ryan like they normally have, or if they're going to let him survive the preseason and go on.
I mean, it's not the Atlanta Falcons line, so it's a little bit different. They do have a decent line. The Colts are a slept-on team, I do think, a little bit. Some people have them really high, and some people have them quite a bit lower than the Titans. I think they probably will win their division, in my opinion. I think they've got a better quarterback than most of the teams in their division, barely.
Definitely.
And I think they're just a better all-round team. I mean, it's going to be them and the Titans are going to be fighting for that spot, and I could see that being real tight. I think it'll come down to the last 2 games of the season for them too.
Wow.
I
like that.
Trust me, you've already been sharing my feed. Oh, thank you very much. It's much
Well,
appreciated.
go share us some of your friends' feeds.
Yeah, it's fun to share. Everyone shares. Share. They always say sharing is caring. So let's get on sharing and let's get caring. Rick, again, thanks for coming on the show, Rick. Much appreciated. Best case scenario, today's game comes down to the last second kick, and we get to yes, we do. And I want to see him here this time, Rick. I really do. I don't think it was a blunder. I think it was just it probably nerves, to be honest.
Yeah.
But he's got to overcome that. Kickers have got to have nerves of steel. They've got to have ice running through their veins.
Yep.
That's why they get paid the money. It's a tough position. It's a very isolated position. No one cares no one cares if you win. If you kick it, everyone cares. If you miss it, no one but they care in a different way.
Yeah.
The fans will make sure you know about it, and that special teams coach will give you a dirty look too. And everyone, as you come off the field, you got to face that entire defense or the kickoff team as you're walking back because you missed it. I'm sorry, the entire defense, because the defense is going straight back on. Well, the defense is going straight on. So, yeah, I think it's a good battle to have. It'll be an interesting one.
I just want the Buccaneers to bring back Martin Gramatica and let him coach the kickers. He knows how to do it.
And you're absolutely right in that. Is Luke good to go? Okay, so there's a bit of a pun on that name I try to put in there. I do apologize. It is terrible, but Luke Goodike, he has a chance to really solidify himself as the starter, seeing as Aaron Stinney went down. It's really big for him to have a good game because last week he really didn't. He did look like a second stringer,
right?
Maybe even worse, possibly. But he has an opportunity to redeem himself. I'm pretty sure at the end of this, if Tom Brady says, we're getting somebody else.
Yeah.
If he shines and Tom Brady sees it and he's like, yep, then we'll stick with what we got. We've got a little bit of money. We can get somebody if we need to. I'm not too stressed about it. That we're available free agents and we're about to roll into a season. However, at this late stage, it's difficult to just take a guy out and plug a guy in. This isn't Madden. You can't just take a guy out and put a guy in and he goes from week preseason game 3 to a week off or a week of practice and then go into game 1. It doesn't work that way. It will take him time to learn the scheme, and better players will learn it quicker, but he will need to learn the scheme.
Right. Well, Brady's got a lot to say about that dude because it's his butt they're covering. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tom Brady will be the biggest voice in that room if he can do the job or not. Hey, y'all, just discovered this show, enjoying this discussion. Yeah, keep discussing, keep joining in. We appreciate it. Don't know who the punt returner is. That might be the deciding factor for the last. It's you know what? There's a couple of guys who can do it. So Devin Tompkins is on that one. He's the last choice. I say last choice. He's the last, the end of the string, I suppose you could say, the last stringer.
Right.
And you have Jalen Darden, who is the first stringer at the moment. And then Rashad White's had a taste of it. And then I believe Giovanni Bernard is also gone in there. So it'll probably come down to. I think Devin Tompkins has a chance to make the roster, but. We know 4 guys are already in. We know Mike Evans is in. We know Chris Godwin's in. We know Julio Jones is in. And we know Russell Gage is in. It's whether the Buccaneers decide to go to 7 spots or 6 spots. If they go 6 spots, then it's a little bit harder because you've got to really scratch your head. I personally think they'll go with Jalen Darden and the guy out of minute. Was it Central Michigan? No, from Minnesota, the college Minnesota. God, I'm trying to remember his name. When you go completely blank on a name, like God, I wish I had that written down. The little guy, not Scotty Miller, but Scotty Miller has a chance to make the roster.
Scotty Miller too, because Miller and Darden, I think, are going to be probably the best people to be punt returners.
Scotty Miller hasn't returned a punt yet.
He needs to. with his speed and everything, I think he would be decent.
It's whether he's got the ability to pick up lanes and things like that. But then you don't get that with a lot of people don't feel like they get that with Darden either. It's a difficult one.
It is.
But yeah, if they go 7, I see it'll be between Scotty Miller and Devin Tompkins. I think Jared Stearns will make practice squad guaranteed. I think it's really tough on people like Rashad Perriman, who is considered questionable, hasn't been there a lot.
Right.
And he does this. He has a similar skill set to Scotty Miller, but it's like, who does Brady like more? Tom Brady raved about Scotty Miller in the past.
Yep.
Absolutely raved about him. He also raved about Jalen Darden, because I believe he was one of the guys that he asked the Buccaneers to pick.
Right.
So that's why I'm thinking Darden will make it. I'm just trying to remember that guy that we drafted out of Minnesota.
Rick says he thinks you're talking about Tyler Johnson.
Tyler Johnson. I was thinking the name Josh Johnson was rolling in my head. But yes. Yeah, Tyler Johnson for sure. Yes, sorry, I haven't caught that far in the comments. I had all these things, some spam come up.
Yeah, I know. Me too.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, Rick. You've said it 3 times. Sorry, man. I do apologize. Yes, Tyler Johnson for sure. Yeah, I think he makes it. I think he's had the best preseason of all the guys so far. Whether that's translated into camp as well. The only people I've really heard talked about from a wide receiver point of view is probably Julio Jones, Russell Gage a little bit, and Jalen Darden. They've really talked up Jalen Darden in preseason from beat writers and what other people have said about him, that he's caught this and he's done that and he's caught this one-handed touchdown, or he's burnt somebody for this. So it looks like he's making that year two leap rather than having a sophomore slump. He really looks like he's making a name for himself, trying to be what I think the Buccaneers envision him to be.
Mm-hmm.
If he can get his special team stuff right, then, because he did look a bit lacking. Our special teams unit was it was poor at times.
Yeah,
it was poor at times. Right, guys, we are up to about just under 25 minutes before. Not 25 minutes. Sorry, a little bit longer than that. It's a 12:30 kickoff for me, so it's a 7:30 kickoff for you.
Yeah.
So we're just over an hour, just under an hour away before kickoff, and we will be ready to rock and roll and watch the final preseason game. Our Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus those horrible Saints. I was going to say Saints then. Those horrible Colts. Saints on the brain.
Saints are all
they live rent free until we win.
They were more worried about Brady than we were.
I completely agree. I completely agree. But yeah, so I think that's the battles that we're most likely to see. The Buccaneers did sign Generard Avery, the linebacker, just to add a bit of depth, and that was also why they got rid of Cyril Grayson. They moved him out of the way. I do see him making practice squad, and I don't think someone like Scotty Miller is going to make practice squad because he will get picked up before. And the problem you have with a Scotty Miller is he's at the end of his contract. He's an ex-6th round pick, and he hasn't produced a heck of a lot. He's a clutch player at certain points in time. It's not something you can guarantee he's going to just move to your squad. Right. It's something you're going to need to work on and what have you. So I think he ends up going to another team. I don't think there's any trade value with him. So people have talked about trading him or put him into a trade package where we could pick up an O-lineman. The O-lineman you're going to get, unless that you're going to get with a trade like that, is probably somebody who's close to practice squad or the bottom stringer of a football team. So it's not going to be someone that is going to push Luke Goedeke away and take that starting role. It's just not going to happen unless you're very lucky at selecting. But I don't personally see it happening. So let's go through more of the topics that we have today. So we talked about the Battle of the Boot. We had the wide receiver wipeout. Brady's back again. Luke has got his big day. We talked about the injury report. And we talked about everything else. So we just go with general Bucs talk, which is what we're all about here. It Bucs report.
And guys, if you're listening, I mean, you can either bring up a topic in the comments. If you want to come on the show, we could put a link out there telling you guys how to join us.
Yeah, if anyone wants to join in, have a word with us, come on screen. That's much appreciated. We always want to hear other people's opinions. I never think I'm right in anything that I think. I just have my opinion, and some people agree with it, some people don't. That's the beauty of being a fan. You know, everyone has a different opinion. I know a lot of people have opinions about the wide receiver battle. I know a lot of people have opinions on other stuff. So if you want to come in and have a chat with us, that's absolutely fine. That's what the bottom portion of the show is about. For us here at Bucs Report, we're going to talk about, hopefully we don't walk away with too many injuries. I really hope that we don't get any more, because at the moment we've had 2 big hits to our offensive line. We did take a bit of a bite to our defensive front, not the line, sorry, with Cam Gill going down. But I personally feel bringing in Colin Nassib completely negates that. I think he's personally a better player than Cam Gill. So I think that we kind of validated that. My wife has decided to join the show and comment because she thinks it's funny. And she sat behind me giggling. So.
Well, I get the exact opposite problem. I'm the football person, and I've got a cabinet over here that's got Bucs memorabilia. I got a cabinet in the dining room that's got Bucs memorabilia. They don't mess with my Buccaneer stuff.
No, well, it is all me, unfortunately. But yeah, she sat there crocheting away, running a business. Bless her.
On your side, just get the kids on your side.
I'm sure one of my children will probably pop up and just like kind of, I'm on TV. But yeah, they're good. They have good fun. Unfortunately, they don't get to watch too many of the games because with us being better than we were, there's a lot more of the later games, which suits me personally more because I can get them to bed. I can get them bathed, because the 1 p.m. slate games are 6 p.m. for us.
Right.
We got to get those kids into bed by about 7 at the latest. So it's a bit of a rush to try and get them bathed, bed, and pajamas and off to sleep. So I quite like the late games because I don't have to stress.
I when we were here before, when the Buccaneer invasion was in Atlanta, we loved the early games because we could go in, we could watch them, and it'd be great. The late games, a lot of people wouldn't show up for because they got to get up and go to work Monday morning. So we always wanted the early games. It just
if you want, you can carry on tailgating, watch some games, go to a sports bar, that kind of thing. And if you don't want to, you can go home, but you've still hung out.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we used to do. Everybody come together and, eat, drink, be merry, and go our separate ways.
That's what it's about, though, to be fair. Eat, drink, be merry. I'm hoping when I come over in 2024 that I get to meet a few people from Bucs Report and meet a few of you guys who do comment and what have you at some of the games. I will be.
That would be sweet. When you coming in 2024?
October.
Okay, that's a good time to go down to Tampa.
Yeah, Halloween. That's the main reason.
Well, not just Halloween, but
yeah, it's when things hot up in the NFL as well.
Yeah.
It'd be a bit, and cooler, of course. It wasn't when we went. We last came though. When we last came, there was like a heat wave when we went to go and watch. I think it was the Ravens, and my wife apparently she claims that she nearly died.
I did nearly die.
Needless to say that she was actually pregnant at the time and she did not realize it. So yeah, we didn't find out till we got back, and we found out she was pregnant with the first one, the first little one, Madam. So yeah, stressful times, but it was good fun. I mean, I had a great time, but I was so hungover myself. So I was there usually I rip through a few beers when I'm watching the game. I was nursing this Miller Lite for about 2 hours because I just didn't have the energy or anything left in me to kind of really get after it.
They said I had vodka in my ice.
And then my wife got upset because she tried to leave the stadium. They wouldn't let her leave because she had a cup of ice. They wouldn't let her leave until she threw away the ice. And it's like, we don't know there's vodka in there. And she's like, there's not vodka in there. I'm dehydrated. I need ice. Oh dear. But yes, going back tonight. All the games are done tonight, aren't they?
I don't know if there's anything tomorrow or not. I'm not positive.
They're usually staggered, but I always remember that the last preseason game, they all tend to like kind of kick off very similar time sets and just it's all done. I'm not entirely sure. To be honest, I don't really keep a massive eye on other people's teams unless it's like big breaking news.
Yeah.
So now we've got to worry about a new quarterbacking. The Carolina Kitty Cats have got somebody new.
You know,
you don't look worried, Tracy. You don't actually.
Baker Mayfield. You know, I didn't like him coming out of college. He went to Cleveland, and he was the ass that I thought he was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's over in Carolina, and he's going to be the ass that they asked for.
I mean, it does say something about how I won't say bad, but how not as good the other quarterback Sam Darnold is.
Mm-hmm.
You know that he's been in that scheme
now anyway.
A lot of people saw Sam Darnold as probably the best candidate from that draft class because they're from the same draft class, right?
Baker and Sam, I don't know.
I think they are. I'm not entirely sure. I think the Browns, they're first overall, and a lot of people were thinking that they were going to pick somebody else, and they were shocked that they went for Baker Mayfield because he wasn't considered the number one draft pick overall. I'm just trying to remember who that. There was that other guy as well, the one that the Cardinals drafted as well. Josh somebody. We had him for like 10 minutes and got rid of him because he was terrible.
Josh Rosen or Josh?
Josh Rosen, that's it.
Oh, that's Rick's favorite player.
Not anymore.
Not
anymore. I don't even know if he's in the league anymore. Is it Wotherspoon?
Okay.
Wotherspoon. I'm gonna go with Wotherspoon.
Hey Tim.
There's two games tomorrow, Giants and Jets. Okay, and then the Lions versus Steelers. Fair enough.
Okay.
It's more football to watch, so no one can complain about that.
That's right.
I suppose there's no rush for it because they've got like an entire week before it really kicks off on Thursday Night Football.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got like a mini bye now. Or
that's true.
Kind of a bye. Yeah, you kind of got a bye week. I think it's probably gives the teams enough time to get the roster straight and get all that stuff done. I don't know if we get to protect players on the practice squad anymore because that's something they did during the COVID years that you could protect a certain amount of them. I think it was 1 or 2. If that happens, I wouldn't be surprised if someone like Scotty Miller goes to practice squad, but only if they can protect him.
Right.
If they can't protect him on practice squad, then I think they'll have to make a hard decision. I think that's the toughest room to pick for. I don't think there's that much stress anywhere else because you've got to get it right.
But I do trust Jason Light to make those decisions. He seems to make the hard ones, and most of the time he's been coming out okay with them.
Yeah, and they still have Bruce Arians around. They have Tom Brady there, who has the rapport with the guys. So obviously he's going to say, these are the guys I trust. And I think that's the problem with guys like Jerry Stearns and Devin Tompkins, is they probably haven't had much rep time. And a lot of people have said how good they look with Kyle Trask. That's because Kyle Trask spends time with that level of players because that's where he's at. So you would expect him to have good rapport with the fourth stringers or third stringers because he is a third string quarterback. So you would expect him to have that. You wouldn't be shocked. You shouldn't be shocked. It's whether Tom Brady's got that rapport with him. And that's why it would be a struggle for them to get in.
I didn't get to see last week's game. Was Trask as bad as everybody's saying he was?
I got to about the halfway point because I was on holiday and we had to get early in the morning. So the game kicked off 12. I think I lasted till about 2 o'clock in the morning and I fell asleep. Had to sleep with the TV on. I think it was probably halfway through the third quarter. I think it was just the fact that I think the line wasn't particularly great, which was probably one of my pet peeves takeaways from that game. The defense was solid. Like the fact they only gave 13 points in an entire game, and then you put in what else they've done. Defense was decent. Like I think the only thing was that they did give a bit more yardage up in the run game than they should have. But I think with Trask, he just didn't look right. He just didn't seem to have it.
That's a little concerning to me because this is going to be his third year studying under Brady.
Second year.
Was he a rookie
last year?
Oh, I thought he was a rookie the year before. Still.
No, he wasn't.
Not showing forward progress.
But apparently, well, I mean, we talk about this, and we know that the Buccaneers will have their own agenda. You know, we know that they're going to say that this player's good, this player's good. We've seen it with Tyreek Hill basically saying that that their quarterback is better than the Kansas City Chiefs quarterback, which is ludicrous. And in what universe is Tua Tagovailoa better than Patrick Mahomes? As much as we made him look bad, he's nowhere near a bad quarterback. Not in any shape or form is he a bad quarterback. He is probably going to be arguably the next GOAT once Brady retires. That's going to be all spotlight. It'll probably be him and the Bills quarterback, Josh.
You know, they got a lot of time to put
That AFC is loaded with talented quarterbacks.
It's loaded with quarterbacks, yeah, but I just don't see any of them. I'm not ready to hand off the title of the GOAT from Brady.
No, but it's easily done by media because the media will do that.
Like, the media are stupid.
You're absolutely right. I completely agree. The GOAT, if you actually say it's an acronym, and it's an acronym for the greatest of all time, to say that so flippantly, like some people do, you can't do that. You've got to be talking about a legacy player who is arguably already the best player ever.
Right.
When you're when you're close to that, that's when you can have that conversation.
Right.
Patrick Mahomes is way too early in his career. We get to 10 years, maybe we can talk about it.
Maybe.
Some people still christen Aaron Rodgers the GOAT, but he hasn't done anything. He's a very talented quarterback, obviously. Tim Wotherspoon hasn't corrected me of the way he said his name, so I'm going with the fact that I'm saying it right. Tim Wotherspoon says that defense wasn't too bad last week. They only gave up 14 points. Absolutely. They always say that a defense that gives up less than 20 points is in it to win it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, offense wasn't there.
Right. Our last, the first Super Bowl that we won, it was like, you know, you give us 19 points and we'll win the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, the defense was, you know, hands down the best I had seen.
Absolutely, and it just goes to show that, you know, there is a place for defense. It has been watered down. I've seen that talk that the Bucs might go after Lamar Jackson next year. I mean, that's counting chickens before they hatch, in my opinion. Would I say no? Possibly not, but I don't know what the Buccaneers bankroll is going to be like next year, and that's a big thing because there's again another load of our draft picks become free agents, and we'll have to start paying people. Yeah. So I believe off the top of my head, Mike Edwards, I believe Sean Murphy-Bunting, Jamal Dean, may possibly as well. I'm not too sure of other people with their contracts that are up at the moment, but they're three big guys that kind of cost some money for sure. I believe Levante David is up as well. Golston will be up. There's a fair few names, and there's obviously people on 1-year contracts already. I'm not entirely sure the contract that Akeem Hicks is on.
I'm not sure.
I don't think it's 3 years though. I think it might be a 1 year. But if it is, then that's another name you've got to pay for. I don't think it was. I'm pretty sure it's a 1 year. Yeah, I'm going to go with a 1 year deal on him. So you've got to as much as Lamar Jackson is a playmaker and he is talented for sure. I mean, we all make the jokes that he can't throw. He's a running quarterback. We all know really deep down that you put him in a Tampa Bay Buccaneers uniform and you give him the weapons that he's got around him in comparison to what he has at the Ravens, he's going to make some more plays. He's going to make some more throws. You only run when the pocket starts to break down. So that says something more about your offensive lineman. And not only that, it's also been drilled into him to do that as well.
Mm-hmm.
You take that away and you can teach him a few of the Tom Brady-isms, so to speak, a little bit more sitting in the pocket, then maybe he does make that big. But we know that he's a capable quarterback that could. Yeah. He's been in the playoffs pretty much all the time. He knows what it's like. I wouldn't rule him out, but I don't see it happening because of the sheer volume of money that the Buccaneers have got to pay other people. But it could happen, and also the Baltimore Ravens will probably tag him.
Oh, I would if I was them. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, of course. You tag him and you try and get a deal done as soon as possible. Because they ain't going to find nobody else. As soon as they kind of withered away after that Super Bowl win, which they kind of did, they had one good year after it, I believe.
Yeah.
In 2014, maybe up to 2015, they were relevant, and then after that, they just kind of flaked out, and then they got him, and they started to become relevant again. You can't win in this league with a nobody quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't. You can push a playoff position maybe, but you're not going to win playoff games and get to the Super Bowl. Those days of carrying a poor quarterback all the way to the playoffs and winning it, I think, are pretty much done because the game has been set up for the quarterback to win.
Yeah.
So you need a good quarterback. It's just that simple.
Definitely.
Aaron Rodgers is the GOAT at losing NFC Championship games. He absolutely is. There ain't no lies told there, Tim. No lies told there. When you've been to that many, it doesn't matter how many MVPs you have. It comes down to the fact you can't get the job done. And my biggest slight on Aaron Rodgers, as talented as he is, he's a serial blamer. Nothing is his fault. It's always someone's fault. It's his wide receiver's fault. It's his lineman's fault. It's his defense's fault. It's his coach's fault. It's always somebody's fault. Aaron Rodgers.
3, 12, yeah, it's her fault.
He blamed Matt LaFleur for the game that they lost. My argument is a lot of people didn't like that call, but if you look at it, he had 3 attempts in the end zone and failed all 3.
Yeah.
I mean, if you take away the Buccaneers touchdown that we got at halftime, which really solidified us in that game, that Scotty Miller high ball.
Mm-hmm.
That's a much tighter game, a much more harder to breathing game. We would rely on Tom Brady to extend plays and eventually, just grind out the clock.
Right.
So it wasn't a bad call. It all depends on how you stand on it. Everyone wants to go, oh, well, he was the MVP, so you've got to give him a chance to make that play. The biggest problem I always found with Aaron Rodgers is he only looked at one wide receiver. Occasionally looked at others, but he mainly looked at one wide receiver. And if you watch that game and you watch that drive, when he's first in goal, he stares down. There was one point he could have ran it in. He still tried to throw it to Davante Adams. There were other people wide open. He still tried to throw it to Davante Adams.
Yeah.
So his problem is he has tunnel vision because he knows he only has one viable wide receiver, which is why it's going to be really interesting for Green Bay this year. Will it make him a better quarterback because he has to be a bit more, I've got to spread the ball around because I have no choice? Or will he crumble because he doesn't trust anybody?
Could
and
be.
he gets sacked, or he throws balls away, or he just runs it to the touchline and try and gain a yard or 2, or whatever, or he's constantly stuttering and freeing out in. It's possible. We don't know yet. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing it personally. I want a front row ticket to that show because a lot of friends are Green Bay Packers fans. So to see I wouldn't say the decline, but to see him not be himself, and I think it would probably force him to retire. I don't think he's that kind of guy who has the mental toughness to come back from I sucked. Because he's used to being the guy.
Yeah. What he'll do is he'll retreat to some cabin in the woods, and
he'll be on his poppers or whatever they give him now.
Yeah, and then he'll have one little disc that he can catch sunlight from, so he can watch the games on Sunday. That would be it.
I reckon he watches film on a moonlit lake, projecting onto with his psychedelics just out there.
That's hilarious.
Throwing stones into the lake of the wide receiver so he can find them. Yeah, that's what I think he does. Yeah. It's yet to be proven, but that's what I think he does. Christopher Cole say, hey, what's up, everyone? What's up with you, Christopher Cole? Thank you for commenting. Much appreciated. We are just a few minutes away. Well, just over 30 minutes away. We'll be cutting short in the next 5 minutes or so to let everyone get themselves some refreshments.
Yeah.
Alcohol if that's your poison, a cigarette if that's your poison, or just a plain old water or a coffee, and just sit back, relax, and watch your Buccaneers. It's coming up soon, and we can't wait for this final preseason game to be done so we can get on to meaningful football where we can all get angry and happy whenever we want with whatever we want.
We do that all the time. Sometimes 5 minutes fan.
He's changing his name to Karen Rodgers. I actually love that. I actually love that. Karen Rodgers. You know what? That is, and he is that person. He is the person who wants to know why. But hey, when I look at Green Bay, I'm starting to see more of a car crash that's just covered. A car crash that's been covered over with dodgy welds and plates being stuck onto the car to stop it from falling apart because they paid him a boatload of cash and they let one of the best wide receivers go. And we all know what our Tommy would do.
Yeah.
We would try and keep everyone.
Yeah.
Tommy knows what he needs. Tommy knows that he needs a Chris Godwin. He knows that he needs a Mike Evans. And now we have a Julio Jones and a Russell Gage. We have Leonard Fournette and Rashad White. And we have all these names. I mean, we're loaded. The weakest position is probably from an offensive tooth position, as I would call it, like to show our teeth, is probably the tight end position because it remains to be seen. But we don't know what we're going to get out of our guys yet. They could be great. Look, Kyle Rudolph had very good years. Cameron Brate also had very good years. I think if you put them two together, they could have a Gronk year combined. It's just how everyone else stacks up.
Yeah, at least we don't have, I mean, like last year we had Gronk, we had OJ, and we had, who else was tight end? Cameron Brate.
Yeah.
And let's face it, OJ Howard never did what we needed him to do.
No, he didn't do
it. The ball go by him, he wouldn't block. You know, didn't if he got the ball, he usually got hurt.
I remember the first year when Arians came, and there was that article that came out, and they asked him, "Why isn't he get the ball?" And he said, "You'll have to ask him," because he had no problem making sure. I mean, when Tom came to town, we were like, "Ooh, we could have somebody who's going to help mold the next Gronk or someone of a Gronk ability."
Yes,
because he could block. He was a very good blocker. That's probably one of the best things about OJ Howard. But we wasted a first-round pick on a guy who could block. You could probably put a 6th-round pick on that, like Kokeft or a K-Dot. Our OJ didn't have any pop. He's got these in. These are zingers. He's got these written down somewhere. I'm sure these are great. Absolutely, and he didn't. He was all liquid and no substance. I mean, I'd say he was more pulp than OJ. I think he was just a thing of pulp. There was no finesse. There was no juice to him.
Nothing to keep him upright.
No, because he got injured often, and when he flashed, he did look really good, but it was so few and far between for a first-round pick. It was just hard to watch sometimes. And then when you have, like when Gronk came in, you really did think, okay, this is going to be him to help it. Gronk's going to help him take the next step. And then when Gronk went out, we were like, okay, let's see what this guy can really do. He has an opportunity. Gronk was out, 4 weeks?
Yeah.
And it was all Cameron Brate.
Yeah.
It was all Cameron Brate. And that, I think that's probably the worst part, was that it was all Cameron Brate. You have this first round wide receiver and the undrafted free agent that we got around about the same time outplayed him.
Right.
And that's Tom throwing. It's not like these are decisions being made by coaching staff who don't know. This is Tom Brady. Tom Brady chose to throw to people like Cameron Brate over OJ Howard. So that says it all to me.
Yeah, if you know.
So looking forward,
then he's not going to.
Yeah. So looking forward, we got our first game. We're up against the Dallas Cowboys. Dem boys are coming. They coming to us, or we going to them? We're going to them, aren't we? Yeah, we're on the road for a while now. So I kind of want the Bucs to win this game because I want us to have some momentum going into the season. Because I know preseason doesn't matter, but it might matter to the psyche of the team. You don't really want to be down 3. I know they don't count against the season, but lost 3 in a row, and then you have to travel to AT&T Stadium in Dallas. Or is it? It's not in Dallas, is it? It's actually outside of Dallas. It's closer to Fort Worth than it is to actual Dallas. Yeah. But you've got to go to AT&T Stadium and win there. And I'm not saying don't sleep on the Dallas Cowboys. They can win.
They can.
But I don't think they'll be as good as they were last year.
They're in a lot of turmoil right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And they've got an owner that does not like to ad-lib on the fly. He doesn't like to change things. He's like, this is the team, it's the way it is, and that's it. And they could have injuries at the wide receiver position, and they won't want to address it with free agents and there are still some free agents out there that they probably could bring in somebody to help out their wide receiver problems, but they're not interested. And that says a lot. I mean, it either means supreme confidence or you haven't got a clue what you're doing. And the rest remains to be seen. Wow, that's a lot of spam.
That is a lot of spam.
Our first 4 games will be the toughest stretch of our season. Yeah, and I think it gets a bit more plain sailing. So I see if we can convert it. I mean, I'd like it to be 4-0, but I'm a realist. I think if we lose 2, it's not the end of the world. We can still roll with that. And if we lose more than that, then it starts to become a bit more of a grind. It doesn't mean anything because you see teams grinding out towards the end of the season. We had that bit that patch in the middle of our Super Bowl season where we lost 4 games in a row.
Right.
And then we came back and got hot during the end of the season, and then it kind of translated into the playoffs. So it's just, we don't want to be starting 0-4 because that's a hard hole to dig out. That's quarter your season. That's pretty much quarter your season done, and you're in a hole. You've got to start winning, and you can't afford, and you've got to win division games for starters. Right. You can't rely on the other games. You've got to win your division games to stay relevant in your division.
Yeah.
But I see us traveling, and I think we'll do well. I think this team from top to bottom is a better team. It's just the tight end position seems a little bit more not as good as it would, and that's a Gronk-sized hole. It's not. Mm-hmm. It's no slight on who we have there, but it's a Gronk-sized hole. But we've decided to levy that by having more receivers. And we've got receivers a bunch.
You got enough receivers out there. Somebody should catch them all.
Exactly. So, yeah, I think we can get away with a few bits and pieces. You've just got to translate his blocking game, which they have. They've tried to do that by drafting 2 guys, and then by adding a Russell Gage and by adding a Julio Jones, you end up with not only wide receiver injury depth, which has plagued us in the past, especially last year. It did plague us a little bit in our Super Bowl season, but everyone kind of got healthy at the right time.
Right.
Whereas in our last season, it started to really drizzle out, especially those last couple of games. And then we kind of, says it all. But it's football, people get injured. I addressed yeah, exactly. And it's back. It is back. It's only a few days. It's only a week or so away until we're in regular season. And we're donning. Are you donning a jersey tonight, Teresa?
Yes, I am.
Who you got?
Well, I'm trying to decide, do I want to wear the Gronk one just because he's not there anymore, or do I want to wear my Vita Vea?
Well, I go Vita Vea. The starters, I'm going with I got the older, and I go with the old Levante David.
Yeah.
I don't like wearing those jerseys in season. I have a couple of what do you call it? Not superstitions. There you go.
Yeah.
So I won't change a jersey until we lose. I'll wear that jersey until we lose.
Right.
And that never changes. Same with what I eat on game day. And what I drink on game. And what I drink on game day, that does not change because I don't want to mess up with my feng shui.
Yeah.
And I don't want to mess up my vibe. There have been times because we've been successful for a time. I'm like, I wouldn't mind wearing my new. I bought a jersey or it's come in the post or what have you, and I'm like, I'm gonna wear that one. No, I've got to keep wearing the Tom Brady red, or I've got to keep wearing the Levante David or what have you. But are you superstitious in the slightest, or does that bother you?
I'm not real superstitious, but if I found something that worked, I think I could be. But I've been a fan since '76. I never count on superstition to win these games.
It's unlucky to be superstitious. Sometimes you gotta be a little stitious, just a little stitious. I think for me, it just makes it like I don't look at it as like a bad thing, or I'm not like it would ruin my day or anything. But I just like, yeah, that's my vibe. I'll wear the jersey until the jersey's done. We're losing it. I take it off, put the next one. I've got plenty of jerseys, so it's not like I'm going to run out. It just allows me to rotate if we lose. If not, then I feel like I've got luck on me. If I don't, then go for the next one, and hopefully that one will bring me some luck. But it's all good. Okay, guys, I'm going to call it at this mark now. We are now at 20 minutes too, so everyone get yourself some refreshments, some snacks, and be ready for your Tampa Bay Buccaneers to take on the Indianapolis Colts. That's been me. I've been me, Steve Slick Probert, or Coach Slick, as some people like to call me. And I've got my lovely pre-show co-host, my old co-host, who's back finally, in Teresa Baxter. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining us, Teresa. Do you have any closing words you would like to say?
No, just go Bucs.
Go Bucs. See you on the side, guys. See you at the post-game show. Bye now.